Okay, we'll start with the question of the little boy, Mariaji. He asks, in which way is Sanskrit scientific? And the second part also is, why do Muslims eat cows?
I took a Sanskrit course only last year in Pondicherry for 1 week only. I am not an expert in Sanskrit, but I repeat a whole Upanishad and slokas every day. And what I feel is that the language has a lot of strength. And it helps you. I mean, even there is now a research that it helps to develop the brain.
Is that a Sanskrit effect?
Yeah, it was recently, no? And it is the most perfect, according to computer programs, it's the most perfect language also for computer, no? And for artificial intelligence. I really don't know how it is, but I love the language. And it's so clear also, the grammar, no? So, and also the script, you know exactly how to pronounce it. So compared to later languages, and imagine it is the oldest, how could they perceive it? No? So that's what I feel. It is all there already. And the rishis kind of drew it only. And why Muslims eat beef? I
Eat cows.
eat cows.
Eat cows.
Eat cows. I can't understand how anybody can eat cow and animal. I find it so difficult to understand. But we have in the Christian faith and Muslim faith, they come from the Old Testament both, and there is one section in Genesis which says that man is the topmost in the creation, and everything what crawls, which moves on earth, which swims in water, which flies in the earth, is there for his service. So that what we took to that, even I think we even don't think that they have a life, that they can even feel. We treat them like furniture somehow. It's very, very sad. But I think it comes from this mindset which we are. Like when you grow up in a Christian or Muslim family, you don't think about it even. You just eat meat. So you need a little awareness to be able to think about it.
What was the reason for Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism to decline if it was so strong? How come some external power is able to prove it to be inferior?
What was it? Like?
How is some external power, some external religions are able to prove this to be inferior?
I think it is just the good-naturedness of Hindus. That you could not imagine that somebody comes with such devious agenda. I mean, you would have believed that everybody, yes, there are kings which fight for each other, but they would have rules. But then when the Muslims came, they didn't have any rules. On the contrary, they consciously broke them. They had only one goal, no? Like Prithviraj Chauhan. I mean, how good-natured he let him always go. So I think it was this mindset that you just could not imagine that people are so bad.
Prithviraj Chauhan, I've heard another anecdote, and that people, who are very morally courageous, for example, or overtly courageous and righteous, the Rajputs, my word, my code of conduct is going to be primary. He probably did not realize who he was dealing with.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
They attacked him when the soldiers at night, they surrounded him.
No, you would not expect that somebody can be so devious.
We are still not relenting.
Yeah.
So
that's what I mean. That's what I.
1,000 years back.
Yeah. That is what I feel. Yeah. That's why you have to tackle also the doctrine. You cannot just tackle people. that won't be enough.
Next question is, nowadays the discourse is so communally polarized on one side that one asserts proudness in being a Hindu. If one asserts, he is termed as an anti-Muslim. Also, when demands like crime statistics are made public, people, especially Hindus, allege that the issue is being made a Hindu-Muslim issue. How do we counter this? So the question is that, any stand saying that Indians have to stand up and call out the truth. If they do, they are called communalists. They're called communal.
Yeah, but who is calling you communal? It is a media channel. And I mean, let them call. They call. I feel truth is more important. Just stick to truth when you feel it is right, what you say, then there cannot be any harm. I feel when we try to appease or try to not be honest, skirt the issue, then we will never get out. We have to face it once, and we have to clearly say, look, you are also victims like we. I have a cousin, he says, I felt so deceived by the church. And so many of us, no? And I'm sure like in Iran nowadays, so many would like to get out. I met a taxi driver in Germany I told him I live in India. He said, oh, our ancestors came from India. He said, Persian. So they know better than we. And then I asked him about Islam, and he said 90% of Iranians do not believe in Islam. Then I said, then why don't you get out? Then he said, because those 10% are so oppressive. And now what's happening, let's see. I mean, now many things are happening. In Saudi Arabia also, things are happening. In Europe, what is happening? So things are on the move. So I feel it's our duty also, because we have to help these youngsters. Look, they are called boys with guns, and we are all, we say, oh, that is wrong. No, they are boys with guns. I mean, when he's 12 years and plants a bomb in a Christmas market in Germany, a 12-year-old boy has done, we call him he's a child only. When he's 17, 18, we call him monster. What could have changed in between? We have to point out what makes him change. No? So, in the interest of everybody, when you lose this phase, it's such a relief. When you are not bound anymore. And
very relevant to the last question, in India, our modern Dharma book is the Constitution, proclaimed by politicians and courts, etc. When freedom to propagate is enshrined in the Constitution, how can we save Sanatana Dharma?
I mean, you should be aware what is freedom to propagate. Can you propagate when somebody says, you are the worst of creatures? That is impossible. Yes, yesterday, the Supreme Court is now dealing with Sabarimala, and I don't know what is coming out. I feel it should not interfere. But I thought one good point it may have, because it says, if religious things are against Constitution, we have to interfere. Okay, then is it not against the Constitution to discriminate against the whole group of people in teaching children about it? So that means maybe this is an opening now.
I mean, just on the Sabarimala point, I was watching the NDTV debate yesterday on the Kerala priests, Christian priests, using confession as a way to rape. Yeah, it's now there. Everybody on the panel was so defensive, as if that's untouchable. How can some priests be criminals? One of the panelists even went to the point of saying that maybe, I don't know that whether the Constitution or whether government can interfere, including a BJP MP, unfortunately, sitting there, who was allowing blatantly Sabarimala to be taken up in courts, is saying that we are not sure whether government can interfere in a religious matter of banning confessions, for example. How and why Islam calls Hindus kafirs for idol worship when they themselves put chaddars and worship their dead godmen?
I mean, this idol worship is completely wrong. I mean, this is misunderstood because Deva, translated as God, is mischievous. It should not be translated as God. If you mean by God the great God, no? So it is very clear in India that Devas are powers, strong. I mean, energies, and yeah, they are real also, no? I mean, once we come on this level of duality, there's so much variety. So that's why there's so many powers also. When we go up to the absolute level, there's only Brahman. And this absolute level, actually, Christianity and Islam don't have. They don't realize that there's this oneness. They ignore it. No? So in fact, we can tell them, look, you don't have the one God. We have it. And the Devas, you have angels, you have Satan. So, in fact, I was once in Germany and I saw my mother watched this program on Sunday morning, church, and the priest was telling, we have to believe again in angels, we have to make angels part of our life. I remember when I was in kindergarten, when we were kind of pressing, so the sister would tell us, keep some space for your guardian angel.
Apart from that, isn't the Kaaba also a piece of stone?
But nobody likes to talk about that
They
because
warp it, but-
they have a story around it that Abraham had come and gone around.
But it's still a piece of stone, even
It
if
is.
Abraham put it
It
there.
is.
So what?
Also, the place they.
But also
those
there
stones
were
are-
so many idols idols that they say, no? Were so many inside also.
Including,
Yeah.
including Allah
365.
himself.
Mm,
Was
yeah,
one
yeah.
of those 365 idols.
Yeah.
There was there was a speaker earlier. I do want to make this point. Somebody called Sri Mugendra Vinod. He spoke on the Saraswati.
yeah.
He just uploaded the talks. He said something very beautiful, that the Britishers actually caused a lot of harm because they took out the supernatural from Sanatana Dharma or Hindu ideas, Vedic ideas. He says that his take is that Devas are real non-human beings. They are just at a different plane.
Yeah, they are entities, and I feel even in the Mahabharata, you had this easy access to them.
Yes.
So Surya would come to Kunti, no? And even I did not find it again, but when I read Mahabharata in English by Ramesh Menon, but in one point Krishna tells Arjuna, go and contact your father, Indra. And then he tells her, go and lie down. So sometimes from my own experience, like in this in-between state, no, when you are not sleeping and not awake, you really can access some different planes, sort of. So I was very happy when I read this, because I always felt I should sit straight. But actually it's sometimes nicer to contact Bhagwan in this way. No? So
If there was a recent statement by the Pope that hell does not exist.
no, he said atheists can go to heaven.
He said that?
Yeah, atheists can go to the same place like Catholics.
So is there some change in some wisdom?
No. I mean, the Pope is now giving up Christianity in Europe, I feel. I mean, he wants to make up in India and in China and.
That's true. Africa.
Yeah. And Europe, I feel they have already given up because we can't handle it. No, but he was saying that he didn't say hell does not exist, but he said if atheist follows his conscience and is a good human being, then he can also reach the place where Catholics reach.
It's not the case in Islam. For example, Zakir Naik clearly calls out in a couple of his videos. He was asked whether Mother Teresa, which of course we have now, we've been grown praising Mother Teresa, and only now realize what all is happening. But he calls out that Mother Teresa did not go to heaven because there are 4 belief systems you have to believe in Allah and Muhammad. You have to offer your namaz and something else. And the fourth is you must be a Muslim. If you are not, there is no heaven for you.
Now, this is in the Quran. I mean, I am surprised that you are still sometimes surprised of it. I mean, even then when people say, why did I think Mother Teresa converted? Of course she converted. If she didn't convert, she wouldn't be a good Christian, because she will allow you to go to hell forever. No? So, and in the Quran it is very clear that Allah will accept only Muslims. So we have to deal with this.
But a punk like Zakir Naik, is he not worth of?
No,
Well,
no. Zakir Naik can draw he can support. I wonder if he comes and he's not for the money part hold up, but for the religious part. I wonder what the court will do, because he can clearly prove, look, that's in the Quran. And a former imam from the Grand Mosque in Mecca, he was saying, when ISIS was at the top, he was saying, ISIS is drawing from our principles. I mean, ISIS, except for the suicide bombings, they have sometimes a problem, because suicide is not allowed. But if you kill kafirs also, then maybe it's allowed. They are not sure. I mean, it's ridiculous, no? But we have to say it.
So to that point, we have to call out, to her point, we have to start calling out the core tenets of the two doctrines of Islam and Christianity. If we do not, and say that this is not worth talking about.
And make people...
But invoking this punk, otherwise it's okay.
But then most of the people from the academics and media will say, no, it's not written in Islam or Christianity.
Yeah, so that's another question, maybe we can take that.
No, this is I mean, Islam clearly says you can deceive if it fosters Islam.
Yes, therefore we have to quote. We have to have those quotations.
But Indians are so, Hindus are so gullible. I saw sorry. No, but Arnav on his show, there was Shabnam Loan. And there was some Hindu. And then there was this Sikh girl who was forced to wear hijab and convert something. No? And Shabnam Loan went against it. This is not in the Islam, in Quran, and this is against Islam, and I condemn the strongest terms. And then the Hindu says, I adore Shabnam Loan. I mean, adore, he said. I mean, a little bit common sense, no?
Yeah, the trouble is, I think we do not even know, we are not told. For instance, the Quran in India, I recently learned, has been taken to court twice in India as a hate book.
In 85, and
once more read Dr. Shankar Sharan's papers, news articles. Unfortunately, a lot of Indians don't even know that this is...
And also the politicians immediately condemned it. They said it is impossible. How dare he to do it even? I mean, nobody dared to...
So, next question. You have exposed the hollowness of Christianity and Islamic doctrines, Christian and Islamic doctrines, but you said that the number of atheists are increasing in countries like Germany and UK, which leads to which is now morally degraded. Can you clarify? I think the question is that is atheism not moral degradation also? So,
no, I feel when we get out of Christianity, if I hadn't come to India, maybe it had happened to me also. We throw out everything, even the belief in any supreme being. And we don't want to hear anything about religion, because we felt we are cheated and that's it. And then atheism is the normal form. But we don't know that there's something which makes sense, which is Sanatana Dharma. That it makes so much sense. This we don't know. We just say there can't be a God, and we mean by God somebody there in heaven who watches us. And this is really difficult to believe. No? This is a problem with Christianity, that they spoil people to believe in any higher being, in any God, if we want to call it like this. And they also spoil them to go back to their own tradition, because they will tell now converts, they will tell them how bad, how primitive your tradition is. Look, they worship Ganesha, and I mean, they make it sure that especially children will never look again at Hinduism. They will lose faith in Christianity, I'm quite sure. They won't stay for long. But they are lost somehow.
What is the reason for tussle between creationism and Abrahamic religions? I thought Abrahamic religions are about creationism.
Yeah, I thought also.
So probably the question is wrong. But
maybe Darwinism and creationism.
yeah, I think Darwinism is probably what they mean. And what if Hinduism is put in its place? Can Hinduism withstand the theory of evolution? Does it have an answer?
Withstand the theory
of
of Darwin, basically. I think India is much better. If you read Bhagavatam or even Manusmriti, the creation of the world is very deep. Much. I mean, I don't believe in Darwinism at all. And I feel also we have a long, long history. I mean, how did the rishis know that Earth is billions of years old when we still thought it is 6,000 years old? There's one saying in the Upanishad, know that by which everything is known. Or if you merge with Atman, then you know everything. And I think the rishis, many of them had this capacity.
If you were to suggest one single most important way of establishing pride in Sanatana Dharma among people, particularly in Bharat, what would be your advice?
You can be so proud. Maybe, you should read a little bit, and then you should also do sadhana.
Yeah.
At least sit a little, repeat the mantra, or even take your own mantra. Don't look for a guru. Even like mantras like Soham or Om Namah Shivaya, it's free for everybody. In fact, I started Om Namah Shivaya even before I came to India. I saw it on the back of a book, and I liked it so much. So in this way, I think doing some sadhana is a start, and also knowing a little bit.
There is, and that leads me to a thought. We had Sri Guru Rohit Arya here. He's a guru in Mumbai, and he also mentioned that we Hindus are, we go to temples a lot, but we are hardly sitting down in meditation. We're hardly doing dhyana or meditation. I think that needs to come back.
I mean, meditation is nowadays more difficult. When in my early years I was sitting 1 hour easily, and now with all this social media and this changing, no, really. I mean, I hold on more to mantra, and I chant, and I do pranayama and even hatha yoga, and and try a little bit of meditation. But I think main thing is you make a connect to whatever Ishtadeva you have, and you ask him also. I mean, he is real. I think a very important thing is also that he has to become, or she, more real. I mean, that you feel it's really there.
Yeah.
No? So
it's not mythology anymore. It's been too mythologized.
No, because it is real. These powers are there, no? And we look at Brahman, just we don't see it. Well, we see the snake, we don't see the rope yet, sort of.
Christianity and Islam offer order and discipline and a set system. Very clear, do this, spoon feeding. Yeah? And Hindu thought is chaotic and free, or free and therefore chaotic. Believing is easier than seeking among human beings. How can we make Indian youth, I wouldn't only say Indian youth, but youth anywhere around the world, seek more?
I don't think believing is easier. I think seeking is more normal. When you are young, you ask questions. And to be pushed into a straitjacket and into a belief system, it is not normal. I don't think it's normal. And that's why so many get out now also. But that's what the problem is, they stop seeking. They think, oh, life is just for enjoyment. When it's over, then it's over. I will be gone.
It's an important point. I was in the US sitting with a gentleman who basically he lives in America for 20 years, and he said a very, very beautiful thing. He says among the four Purusharth, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. The West is all about, they've forgotten Dharma and Moksha. It's a ping pong between
Artha and Kama,
Earth
yeah,
and Kama.
yeah.
In which period 56 million animals were killed in India. She wasn't saying that. She's saying
No.
56 billion animals are killed every year
Yeah.
in eating
In all over the world.
all over the
I mean, I just googled it. I don't know, but without fish, that doesn't include fish.
How can Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma be promoted among modern youth?
It's difficult because even Sri is doing a lot. Baba Dev is reaching out a lot. School? I don't know. School? I mean, in school there should be some knowledge because, Upanishad is nothing about religion. It is philosophy. And even Mahabharata or Ramayana, if any other country had this treasure, of course it would be taught. Absolutely.
So you're saying take Upanishads, Mahabharata to schools.
Also, teach them some philosophy, or sometimes school, of course, is also negative, no? That you don't want to learn when you have to learn it somehow.
I don't know. My personal take on this is that actually Upanishads and philosophy, Indic philosophies have to be taught in schools. Perhaps include Christianity and Islam with it, and people will know the difference. Kids will know the difference.
But they have to really teach proper
things, yes.
Christianity.
But in any ways, taking it to schools is important. That brings us to an important point. That
because now they don't know. Really, they don't.
Of course. But this would be important. The Constitution would not allow it to take religious text to school.
But we have to clarify what is religion.
Yes.
Because religion means to bind. And Sanatana Dharma is to make you free. So religion, it doesn't bind you to a doctrine. It gives you an option. It says, look, find out who you are. What can you know about yourself? How can this be banned from school under the pretext of religion?
Just taking yoga to schools is such a hell.
It's easier in Germany than in India.
Now just noting. We used to learn a language through stories taught in the schools. Those stories have vanished. If we can bring back those stories of Upanishads and Dharma into the schools.
I think even also if Sanskrit would be taught right from the start, this would be a big help. Because in Sanskrit then you get already also knowledge and love for Sanskrit would come. Yeah. There's somebody in Pondicherry.
I've become a little bit of a radical now. I'm actually of the clear point that the Constitution has to be amended if it must.
I don't interfere in this point because
the Constitution allows the minorities to peddle their stuff.
Yes, so
not us.
It's and Dr. Shankar Sharan very beautifully pointed out in one of the talks here that we are a constitution of minorities. Between Articles 25 and 30 of the Constitution, it is all about minorityism. There is no word called majority.
It's not the Constitution which stops us. It's the government and our politics which has stopped us. I am from a school. I went to a convent school, but I did not go to a CBSE school. If you go to a CBSE school, you will learn things differently. I have read the Ramayana and the Mahabharata in my third grade, and also a lot of poems which were inspired by the Hindu Dharma in my Hindi text.
So what Srijan here is saying is that the government schools or in state schools,
the curriculum needs to change.
Yes.
No, not done it deliberately. Our perception is that the Constitution would not allow it, but people have chosen not to do it deliberately for their own political purposes.
Okay. He's making a point that it can be changed, but maybe political reasons. Yeah, so I think that was to your point that Hindi medium schools or vernacular schools, regional languages are much better.
Much better. English medium is such a, I don't know whether you know, there was a PISA program for international student assessment. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
In 2009, India took part, 74 countries, first 10, all Asia. South Korea, Singapore, China, Shanghai, whatever, Taiwan, Japan. India, Do you know on which number? 74 countries. 74 is Kyrgyzstan. Last one is Kyrgyzstan.
73 would be
Two states took part, Himachal and Tamil Nadu. 73 is Himachal and 72 is Tamil Nadu.
There is some important work being done by people like Sankrant Sanu,
Yeah.
who's pushing for building Indian languages curriculum and pushing that it must come in higher education must be taught in Indian languages.
Yeah.
If it does, we will be transformed.
Yeah.
We've done some research around IQs of
And Indian children are far more intelligent.
Yeah.
Village children, they are more intelligent. He made a test, no? But the 10 best children in America, 30 are in Haryana villages, the same result in a non-verbal IQ test. I mean, so much more. And they lose it all once they are pushed into English medium.
There's a question here which I think is a case of misunderstanding what Sanatana Dharma means, but I will read it out to you. Why do you call the Indian tradition Sanatana Dharma? It seems to miss the point that there were various systems in India other than Advaita Vedas. Example, Siddha tradition or Tantric tradition. So the question is, there are many sampradayas, there are many spiritual traditions. Why are you calling it only Sanatana Dharma?
No, I was focusing on the main point, and I feel if we would have today a supper of rishis in a way, and we would debate what is more true, Advaita, Dvaita, Vishishta Dvaita, now we would probably come to the conclusion that Advaita makes most sense. I mean, if you try to find what is true about, what can we really know what is true, you can only know I am. And so that is the highest, basically, no? And then, but there are many traditions, of course, because now it is about ways, how can I discover this? And those are on the relative level. And as I said, Hindus have no problem with whether somebody worships Shiva or Krishna or Devi or whatever. You find your own way.
It's Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism is just an amalgamated term used for a multi-faith, for multiple faiths. So it could be, I mean, there is no other better word. I mean, we have a lack of a better word. So you assimilate Tantrics and Siddha and all the various traditions and sampradayas in one word, Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma.
Yeah.
Have you experienced anything in Sanatana Dharma which you would want to change or reform? There is also a similar question, your comments on flaws of the Hindu culture, sati, caste system, parda.
What is called flaws, it's not in, I mean, caste system is not.
Parda is not a Hindu thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any flaw in Sanatana Dharma. Caste system is not in Sanatana Dharma. I think even the Varna system is an ideal system. I mean, every society needs a structure. When you say now we want to get rid of caste system, I mean, Varnas. Imagine if every boy wants to become a pilot. I mean, it makes automatically a kind of society, and there are different functions, and the rishis compared it to a body. So it means somebody also is serving. So, but comparing to the feet are touched in blessings. But it's when my feet is paining, of course I will feel very bad. No? I will help it. So I think it's a very beautiful. Discrimination is bad, but discrimination is human, and it has nothing to do with Sanatana Dharma.
Is that somewhere down the line, English education, inspired by Christ, Christian values, has penetrated or destroyed every pagan system. With regards to our dharma, it's willful blindness. Yeah, there is a point about willful blindness, I think he's bringing up, which is the cause of degradation of Sanatana Dharma versus other paganism. Other pagan religions were destroyed by force, perhaps. and here it is a lot of willful blindness of the Hindus. Do you have a point about that at all? Or I'll go on.
I think it's also brainwashing, because already now it's almost 200 years that you went through this English education system which told you that your tradition is worth nothing. So this is painful, and then when you go to a Christian school, you just believe also what they tell you. And they don't tell you negative things about Christianity.
Christian or Islam.
Hmm.
Okay, very, very pertinent question. Do you like Jesus Christ?
I think I was very lucky that my mother taught me a prayer when I was very small still, and she said, "Dear God, I am small." It's a rhyme in German, but in translated it means, "Dear God, I am small, my heart is pure, make me fully your own." So this is basically a very Sanatana Dharma prayer. And so I never really got close to Jesus. And somehow when I prayed always to God. So maybe this was a help for me to get out.
You think this is karmic? That you started chanting Om Namah Shivaya?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
It definitely
maybe.
goes to the heart of it.
So, because that brings us to the next question. What?
Like even Christianity, it could be quite good. No? It has, Jesus says, "I and my Father are one." He says, "Kingdom of God is within you." Yeah, and also that Christianity has basically some good things. No?
Yes.
That, and this is often also used like what I said. Yes, but the church is pushing the other thing. No? But if the church would give up at the 90th birthday of my mother, now she's 100, she will soon complete 100 in February, and the 90th birthday of my mother, there were 2 priests. So they were wondering, like, why do we never see you? And then I told them, I have only one problem with you. Stop claiming that Christianity alone has a full truth and that Jesus is the only true medium to reach God. Only this I want you to stop. He couldn't say anything. No?
What inspired you to come to India, and then what was your first exposure to Sanatana Dharma?
Actually, I did not plan to come. I stopped over in India. I had no expectation regarding spirituality from India. I had read I was always thinking sort of, and after I was 18, I was not really very much I was not into Christianity at all. So I read Buddhism, but Hinduism, what I said, we get this very negative image. It is, you are not interested in it. So when I came, I wanted to see wildlife sanctuaries. And I was in Kerala, and then I went to Kanyakumari. And there is a memorial for Swami Vivekananda. So I had not heard of Swami Vivekananda. Amazing. And books were very cheap, and I thought, let me know a little bit about Indian thought. And I bought 2 books, Jnana Yoga and Raja Yoga. And I started reading Jnana Yoga, and I was absolutely, it touched me so much. It really felt that what I felt is true, but I couldn't have expressed it, he was telling. And then I read Raja Yoga, and then I felt, oh my God, I can't live like this. You have to live alone, you have to talk little, you must watch your food. And he made many demands. And then I thought, oh, not possible. And soon after, I wanted to go on to Australia, but before going to Australia, I wanted to see the Himalaya. So in Delhi, a photographer told me, you go to Hatwa, from there you go up. And in Hatwa, there's a big festival now. And this festival was Ada Kumbh Mela. And there I met Devaraha Baba and Anandamai Ma, and then things fell into place. I started reading a lot in the beginning, and then I started to meditate, and then I started, thinking about it, and then I wanted to stay longer. And then I asked Devaraha Baba. I didn't ask, I said, only time I talked with him, because I was very shy actually. And I said, I want to stay longer in India than my visa allows. Then he gave me his blessing. The translator said, Baba gives you a blessing. And then Baba was talking again with the translator. Long time actually, hand and feet. And then translator comes again and says, Baba gives you special blessing. And 38 years now. So,
one of the things I personally, and you touched upon this, have experienced is that Hindus are extremely self-conscious or coy about saying that, oh, we must convert. Ghar Vapsi, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There is this whole thing, one part is that if you've lost somebody to Islam or Christianity, they're gone forever. There is societal pressure and caste pressures and all of that. But there is another part of this which is like, yeah, don't bother, just preserve yourself. Yeah.
And let them go.
Let them go. What is your take on this?
I don't know why they go. I was once in the plane, and there was one of these youngsters, you.
I'm not.
Yeah, but for me, you are young. Like you, sitting very accomplished, very brainy, very IT fellow, teaching at university in Atlanta, I think, and now is resettling IIT in India. And we had a chat, and then food came. So I took vegetarian, and he took non-veg. And then I said, non-veg? And then he said, yes. 8 years ago, when I converted to Christianity, I started to eat meat. Oh. And I said, you converted to Christianity? I think he had not expected this, because maybe also he converted because he wanted to belong in America. No? He was alone in America, a small town, and so the pressure may be there. And then we had a talk, and then it didn't look so intelligent anymore somehow. And then I said, Christianity says that Hindus go to hell. Do you believe it? You know what he said? Yes, we have to believe it. We have to believe it. And then I said, yeah, what about your family? My parents have converted already. My brothers and sisters don't. Imagine. How sad, no?
So Swami Dharan Saraswati wrote this article. I don't remember it very clearly, but he mentioned that we owe it to humanity to lift people out of this hell and heaven thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. We should really push for this. Is unacceptable. The children are taught, frightened with eternal hell. You don't know what it means.
I had another point. I have, this is sort of related, and there's this funny anecdote I have. I have friends in Germany. They're both Germans. One, an immigrant, he came in when he was 2 years old. That's my friend, and he looks exactly like me. And so we must have been twins in some birth earlier. Yeah, no kidding. Almost similar. The wife is a yoga teacher and a Shishya of Swami Sachidananda in Coimbatore. But her attachment to Christianity, she still calls herself a Christian. She does yoga,
I know
teaches
many.
yoga, teaches meditation, is a Shishya of Swami Sachidananda, comes here thrice a year. But she says, no, I can't give up.
I know several. I don't understand it. Maybe this is for me because I never had a relationship with Jesus as such, no? But I know I can't understand it really. It's like people I know, they all got out completely. Even I met in the train a young German recently, and she said the priest came to her house door. He asked her, please consider. She has given in writing that she wants to leave the church, and he said, please stay
and did
back.
they get out of the German church tax? I recently learnt about it. 8% of all Germans by default give church tax.
No, 8% of the income
monthly
tax.
income. Of the income tax.
Of the income tax. 8% of the income tax goes to the church.
This adds up to 9.2 billion euros every year.
All over the Europe.
And every mass, this thing goes around, and you cannot give less than €1 because the neighbor sees it. It is open. So they make.
So is Germany a secular state, by the way?
Yeah, it's of course secular.
Then how
but
do they have this?
They have still some preference, but compared to earlier, when you could not leave Christianity, when you had to go to Mass on Sunday, was punishable. I mean, it is much better now, but church has some, Christianity is taught in school.
I think that's some learning we need to do. There is too much of secularity here. Another anecdote is recently, and I've talked about this a lot earlier. I spoke to the retired Chief Justice of India once. I was at a lecture, Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture, and as he passed by, I folded my hands and asked him. He gave a wonderful lecture on how India is the leader of secularism. And as he passed by, and that, how great Lal Bahadur Shastri ji was in upholding secular values and all. As he passed by, I folded my hands and asked him, "Sir, if India becomes 80% Muslim, will India remain?" He looked down, thought about it, and said, "Yes, if we can separate the state from religion." I said, "Knowing all the 52, 53 Islamic countries around the world, do you think Islam and state can be separated?" You know what he said to me? I was aghast and shocked. He said, "We must take a shot at it." Take a shot at it. This is my motherland. We must try with an undo button. Didn't work out, let's reverse.
That's
We
why.
did that in Pakistan, basically.
Yes. So I keep asking, what's the difference between India and Pakistan to all Muslims who say it doesn't matter, we should be secular, not be, protecting. Indic religions have to be protected. That's the point, really. And we have to come down to having a constitution, which if it must be changed, it has to be changed to protect Indic
And we have to be honest also regarding these two religions. So far, nobody is honest. We still keep saying they all are the same. Islam is a religion of peace. Christianity is of yeah. And I mean, it is not true. It is not true, and we have to have the courage to stand by truth. I mean, Satyameva Jayate is your motto, and I feel the rishis, we have to honor them. You have this great heritage which you got, no? And it's really for the whole world. Also, you can save us in a way, but you also first you have to know.
We have to know. We have to be courageous.
You have to know, and you have to be courageous, and you have to do sadhana to be convinced that it is really, yeah.
Forget the secularism, but the idea of enabling or whatever, allowing people to live and let live. This has, whether the word was there or not there, it was always our essence, and we never, practiced any.
But the word gets misused.
Yes, it does. The word gets misused. Yes, and it needs to be taken out. There is a wonderful video, a 4 or 5 minute video. If you go to our channel on Srijan Foundation on YouTube, it's the first video, and I've never removed it. It's by Swami Dayanand Saraswati, and he gives such a plea for protecting Indic religions. He gives a beautiful story. He basically says that if the constitution has to be changed to protect ourselves, we must.
I would say why remove the word secularism? It has been misused. So
The word is incorrect.
So
The
better
word was
use it.
imposed with good majority by Indira Gandhi. It was
Better
not a
use
choice.
it properly.
Actually, secularism is an incorrect word. It was a separation of the word which is from separation of state with the church. There is no concept of church demanding things. It has never been part of our tradition. The word needs to be.
Secularism is for India. It has no meaning because dharma you need also in government.
Yes, wonderful point.
I mean, you cannot separate your Sanatana Dharma from state. But blind belief in a story which Christianity and Islam propagate, and which was pushing their agenda because nobody really believed it. So this has to be separated, and that's what Voltaire and those people fought for. and managed, thanks also to Indian knowledge coming there. Because I think if the Vedas had not come to Europe at that time, 1700, 1800, then science would not have taken off, and the era of enlightenment would not have happened. We say only Greece. It is because of Greece knowledge came back. It's India. They just don't want to mention India.
Because how did Renaissance come out suddenly?
Yeah, it is India.
It's a beautiful.
But I saw once a documentary in Germany on Timur, and he builds his mosque in Samarkand. And I think he started to build the mosque in April 1399. And in December 98, he was in Delhi.
Right.
And he did,
Completely.
yeah. And he took 100 elephants laden with precious jewels. He took across the Hindu Kush. Many slaves, many died. He must have taken also the artisans and architects and craftsmen. And luckily they didn't do a good job because the mosque fell soon. No? but in the whole documentary, I felt so pained, not one word about India. Not one, only about the flowering of Islam and the great architecture. And I don't know. It was really painful. I got so nervous when I watched this.
There's a wonderful video, if all of you want to see it, by Dr. Raj Vedam. It's again on our channel. It's called The Untold Story of the Indian Civilization. And he talks about makes a pertinent point, India as the source of knowledge, not the sink of knowledge. Beautiful 1.5 hour video. Must take time to spend it. Okay, next question is of the last talk we did here of, I've got massive flack on this, for holding Rajiv Malhotra, who's written on Breaking India and has been a pioneer in, reviving consciousness and awakening Hindus, if you like, on his talk on Swadeshi Muslims. He's making an attempt as far as I could understand. You saw it?
Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
So, what's your thought on that? Because the reason I'm getting flack is that Hindus will be lulled into thinking that there is no problem with Islam.
No, I feel what I felt when I watched the question answer. I watched only. I didn't see. No, I saw his talk also. I feel that is again a case that truth is missing. Full honesty is missing. Because if you take Muslims and you say, I have no problem with you that you are a Muslim, I won't touch this, but we take you to some conference and you say, I love Indian heritage and I love this, that is not honest. Because I have to ask him, do you believe I go to hell? For example, no? Or do you believe we are the worst of creatures? Do you believe? I mean, I fear sometimes. I mean, I don't know whether I should say this. I had a haircutter, Abdul, and I once came in. I take these tuk-tuks, and it was such a busy. I mean, traffic like anything, and so I came and said, 10 साल के बाद क्या होगा? And he immediately said, बहुत कम होगा. Immediately. बहुत कम. It will be very less. So I was very surprised. So I said, how? No? And then I felt he was feeling uncomfortable, that he said it too fast somehow. Then he tried to say something, what goes up fast comes down fast, something like. But I had a very strange feeling. I don't know what they are taught in the mosques. In Germany, a friend of mine, he came once, he took the subway in the evening back home, and there was a group of Turks in the wagon, and one of them, he came to him, was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. He came to him and he was not violent or anything. He just said to him, in 20 years, Germany belongs to us. So this is because it's declared, it's very open there. We have to make the whole world believe in Allah because Allah wants it. And the Christians say we have to make the whole world believe in God because God wants it. I mean, God is here present. He is not in a book. He is in us. He is that what is. No? This truth we should be able to communicate somehow. I don't know.
There is a counter argument to that, Mariaji, is just like you mentioned the Iranians. 90% of them are not really Muslims. It's the 10% who keep them Muslim. Or, and this is also with like my friend who's a yoga teacher. She likes to keep her Christian label, but she's actually a practicing Hindu by all means. Is there a large segment of people, both Muslims and Christians, and in this context Muslims, who sit uncomfortably if they know about what is taught in the Quran, who sit uncomfortably on all of that, and that is the target audience or target of Rajiv Malhotraji's Swadeshi Muslims.
I mean,
keep them cultural Muslims.
No, the problem is that if they are uncomfortable and they don't accept it, that means they are not Muslims anymore.
By the book, they are not.
That is important. And he will and he can go to any conference and any Muslim can say, "You are an apostate. We have to kill you also." I mean, ultimately.
Yes.
I mean, so this doesn't work, and that's what I feel like. We Christians who don't believe anymore, and there are many. We are not worried about reforming Christianity. We are just. We feel it's hopeless. No, we just get out. But I feel the problem with Islam is a religion for men. And Christianity, when I grew up, it was for women and children. I mean, the men would go to mass, but they wouldn't like to be seen as religious. Only clergy can afford to look religious. Men, they would go because they meet their friend and have a beer afterwards, after mass. But Islam is so much in favor of men. And it's, I mean, this kind of, when you go for jihad, you have a win-win situation. Either you come back as a rich man or you get paradise. And if somebody believes it, and now they are pushing so much, so even normal Muslims, I know a Turk in Germany, he has never read the Quran. He doesn't know anything. And he speaks our dialect, he's born there. No? So, but I don't know how they would react because they feel, no, we are winning. Now we are soon reaching our goal, and I don't know.
So you think that the only way is to actively convert people into Sanatana Dharma and Hinduism? Is that a goal to go after?
I feel from the Constitution or from Supreme Court or from United Nations, UNICEF, there's certain things which are unacceptable, like indoctrinating children into eternal hell, should stop. And also what I feel, if we would push more, like even if there would be documentaries on rebirth.
Yeah.
Because rebirth will make the whole doctrine collapse. And this belief was there, it just that they wanted to have a better hold on people, I suppose. So they abolished it. But it makes so much sense also, rebirth. No? So.
But Mariaji, whenever I have, for example, even a mufti from Deoband, he lives in Canada, in Toronto. I've tried to talk to him. Every time I've tried to engage in a conversation, I call it civilization, debate between civilizations and all of that. The hard facts about what happened in Banu, Quraiza, for example, 600, 900 men were beheaded all night long and women taken as sex slaves. This is when, any of these hard facts, or say the, violent verses, for example, in the Quran, are always, there is an excuse for it. It was a context. It was so and so, or I recently found somebody, one of the attendees here, one of his friends on Facebook. I ran into him and this person tells me that, oh, he's a wonderful Muslim, he does pranayama and talks about Tai Chi and all of that. And when I challenged him with some things, asking him, did Gandhi go to heaven according to your beliefs? There is always an evasive answer. So he says that Muslims are bad, but the code is perfect. In my opinion, it's the other way
It's the
around.
other way around. Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
Luckily, people are better than they, because not everybody is following it.
Biggest problem is we cannot say it outside this.
No, but we must say it. We
You can't say, but this video is going to go online, by the way. So, I mean, is it only my problem to say all this?
But more important is
I'll challenge you on that, by the way.
More important is to control the population. In HT today, it's in Kerala, the Muslim population is growing by 12%. Christian is by 1.5, Hindu is by 2%.
Actually, that's because that's
more dangerous.
Yes, demographic changes. Demographic is destiny. We just put up a video just day before yesterday of Dr. J.K. Bajaj. He's done research on census since 1951 on all the censuses, and he's demonstrated district-wise that all the point about as societies become rich, population growth declines. That is unfortunately not true in Kerala, even though Muslims are the almost richest community. Maybe shall we stop and make this the last question? When will we get to read the book you're writing? Are you?
Garuda Prakashan is publishing it. So he said he hopes it will come out at the Dehradun Lit Festival in November. But I'm not so sure, because he said he will send me the first editing middle of July, and so far I haven't received yet anything.
Okay, shall we end it? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.